What is your photographic North Star? This is the Wild Eye Podcast. Hey everybody, my name is Gerry, I'm from Wild Eye. And yesterday when I was flying back from Cape Town, I was listening to a podcast where two comedians were talking, and they were talking kind of about their inspiration and their art and when they grew up as a comedian and how they've built their craft. And this led me to, based on the questions they were asking each other, to kind of take it to photography. What is your photographic North Star? Now, what that means is, I've said many times on this podcast and other platforms that I think sometimes we tend to either over or underthink our photography dramatically. When we're new and you get into this thing, you tend to overthink it to the point where you cripple yourself. Like, should I, shouldn't I, how many lenses, aperture, depth of field, circle of confusion, Lightroom slider, contrast, whatever. It can get very confusing, and we get, what do they call it, analysis paralysis. On the other side, I think if you underthink your photography, then you're leaving image quality on the table, because the truth of the matter is, in photography and life, the more you know, the better it gets. But just hear me out. So when I started out in photography, the world was a very different place. And social media didn't create all of the noise and the amount of content that's out there. So when I was growing up, the people who you would know as photographers was the guys in National Geographic, or Richard DeToy, for example, is one of mine from way back. He was featured in magazines and on TV programs, so you knew about him. And you could kind of create your vision of what you want to do or be one day on those people, on your photographic North Star. Fast forward 15, 20 years actually, damn. Fast forward to now, the noise online is dramatic. You could get someone who's not really that good a photographer with an incredible following online because they play the algorithm or they've bought their followers. And it's very difficult, as far as I can tell, for someone that's new, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this, but for someone who's new to get into this thing and know where to take it, right? I look at a lot of our clients and they're uploading their images and stuff, and it's great. But in honesty, if we had to sit back and say, okay, cool, where is this going for you? John, you're posting all these images, but what are you trying to achieve with this? What are you trying to do? Now, before I go there, yes, I get it. There's a very big element of, I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this to travel. It's a means to an end. I enjoy the process. Absolutely, I buy into all of that. But if you're going to start taking it seriously, you need to have some kind of direction. And the North Star, the thing that you would like to follow or be inspired by, is vital. You have to have that. And I know we're just chatting to Andrew now about what his North Star is. And if I had to start now, today, Christ, I wouldn't know where to start looking. You go onto Instagram, there's people with 200,000-300,000 followers that are very average photographers. Some of the very best photographers don't even have an Instagram. So what is your photographic North Star? Why is it important? Because the moment you start gaining attention, the moment you start gaining skills and knowledge and you get better at what you do, people will give you the attention. They will tell you how amazing you are. That feeds the ego, and you start playing to the audience rather than staying true to your own vision and your own North Star for your own photography. Make sense? So I was chatting to Andrew. I asked him the question, what's yours? And he said he tries to be different. So having shot for a long time, I mean, Andrew and I have been working together for about 15 years now, more if you take the guiding stuff into account. But he shot all the basic stuff, and now it gets to the point where he's trying to be different. He's trying to interpret scenes differently and photograph things differently. And his words now, 5 minutes ago, was he likes to play on the extremes. It feels to me that the people and photographers who have a North Star, who have direction and who have vision in their photography, knows where they want to go. They will play in the extremes. Whereas if you are just pandering to the audience and you are just going with the flow, so to speak, you're going to be gray and in the middle. The boring stuff. Sorry, but it is. You have to be so clear of what you want to achieve with your photography and your own photographic process that the noise doesn't matter. And the reality is, and you know this, the noise right now is very loud. It's very loud. For you to start building a decent audience on Instagram, for example, now is tough because people have the attention of a goldfish. 12 seconds, gone. They start again. Whereas in the past, I remember going into New York, into a Barnes & Noble, because one of my images was featured in a Nat Geo magazine, but I needed that magazine. And I was traveling at the time. I looked for this thing and I got that magazine and I hanged on to it. And that was like, fuck, I've got an image in Nat Geo. This is amazing. But then at the same time, the North Star for me was always, that's kind of what's important. And the people who made it in there again and again and again was the North Star. It was kind of, what are these people doing to get the thing that I want? Make sense? Now it just seems like I just want a few likes on Instagram. That's not a North Star, man. You need to have vision. You need to have direction. But what does that look like? What does it look like? Yes, it's different for each of us. And hey, if your North Star is getting a lot of likes on Instagram, kudos to you, man. Good luck. It's not difficult. Post baby animals or predator eating prey and you'll get lots of likes. But how sustainable is that? How long can you do that for? I see a lot of the young photographers out there, and they are 100% shooting for the audience. 100%. If you look, and I can say this because if I look at the content that they're posting, it's only the hero shots. And in reality, we don't only shoot hero shots. If you are comfortable with where you are going and what you want to achieve with your photography, you wouldn't mind posting an image that is not going to get you the likes. Because, and this is a big deal for most of us, we don't make money off of our photography. Most of us. Most of you listening to this might sell a print here and there. You might give a print to Aunt Betty for her 117th birthday, right? But you don't put food on the table with your photography. So what's wrong with creating images that speaks to your vision, your direction, your North Star in your photography, and not getting 127 likes, but only getting 12? It's ego, unfortunately. We like it when people say, hey, that's a cool image. We like it when we open it up and see, I've shared your image 12 times or whatever the case might be. The North Star and your direction in your photography is vital. That if you want to take it seriously, if you want to be better at this thing, then you're going to have to figure that out. You're going to have to figure that out. I loved Andrew's answer in that he works on the extremes. Go either, and from... We didn't dig into it, but I can tell you now, looking at his style of photography, that means looking at a subject, either going ridiculously close, abstracts and textures, or pulling way back, animal and landscapes, and then play with the light. But that's a conscious decision. His North Star is, I'm going to try and do something different with the scene. It doesn't always get the likes on Instagram, though. You have to know your North Star. You're going to enjoy it more. There's a vision. You shouldn't care what people say, because maybe their North Star is not yours. But we get crippled by it. We get crippled, the ego whispering from the back of your mind saying, hey, Gerry, hey, you didn't get as many likes as you needed. Maybe you should post something else. It's wrong. It's an unfortunate thing. And again, it must be so hard starting now. And that's where, if you're a young wildlife photographer listening to this, stick to your guns. Figure out if you don't know what, message me, mail me. Let's figure out why you do what you do. And then stick to that passion. I spoke to a friend this morning on Zoom. She's from San Francisco, and she's busy starting her own nonprofit organization. And she wanted to bounce some ideas and kind of look at social, this, that, the other. And through all of this, like, how should I get my message out, basically was the question. And I said, tell people about it. Stick to your guns. You know what you want to achieve. You know what your North Star is. Push that. Educate people around it and entertain people around it, because that's what social media is at the end of the day. We either educate or you entertain. That's what we do, right? And then there's a continuum in between. You can't educate too much because then you're too serious, and you can't entertain too much because then you're not serious enough. It's a balance. You've got to play with it. But within that continuum, you are still focused on a North Star. This is what I want to achieve. Come with me on my journey. Loved the podcast I listened to yesterday, because it's the crossover of comedic art and storytelling to photography. Might not be that obvious to some, but the idea of knowing what I want to create and how I want to create it, and not letting the noise, not letting the gray that's on social and photography influence me, but I'm going to keep shooting for what I want to shoot for. It's a huge thing. It's a huge thing. Figure that out And I guarantee you your process will change. You're going to enjoy it more. You're going to have more fun with it. So, last time, what is your photographic North Star? Why do you shoot? And yes, I know. This is what my company does, Wild Eye. This is what we do. We take people as an experiential adventure travel to do photography in these amazing places. So I get it. It's a means to an end. Get you into the nature. Photograph, the creative. I get it. But again, what is your North Star with your photography? I promise you guys, figure that out. Game will change for you in many ways. Anyway, I'm going to go. Please let me know what you think. If you're a young photographer and you need help or you need guidance or you want to have a conversation, let's record a podcast together and talk about it live and we can explore it and add some value to people. If you have been shooting for a while but you're not sure, let's figure it out because it is so valuable once you do. Let me know. Email gerry@wildeye.com. There's been a bit of a change. All of our Wild Eye email addresses used to be .co.za. We've changed it to .com. You can still use the old one or forward to the same place, but wildeye.com. That's wildeye, 2 words with a hyphen in between, or Gerry van Walt on all the social media platforms. I hope to hear from you. Good luck, guys. Happy shooting. Figure out the North Star. It will change your game. My name is Gerry. I'm from Wild Eye. I'll chat to you next time. Have a good one. Bye for now.